Just a question, who of you have heard of Infobip? Okay, there's few people. We're not the typical pharma vendor. We're actually, pharma is a super tiny part of our revenue, and it just came by accident. So Alice on the main stage, she was talking about inspiration from other industries. So I spoke to the organizers, and because we are a company that's born in Croatia, we said, okay, let's join and talk a little bit about something. So it might, the reason why I'm saying this, it might be a little bit out there, what I'm going to talk about. It's tailored to pharma, and it's based on the experience we have in healthcare and pharma. Somebody pointed out last night that we're working with 3 of 5 biggest pharma companies. I didn't even realize, but the revenue is so tiny that I actually didn't pay attention. So I will just do a quick introduction for the people who don't know what's Infobip, and then I'll talk about conversational future. What does that mean for physicians? I'll show you some use cases that some of our clients are doing and using with customer story, and then I'll talk a little bit how to make it happen with tech stack, and we can do Q&A. So Infobip powers communication at global scale. We started as a one-way communication company, enabling people to send messages, SMS messages. It's not actually people, peer-to-peer, meaning person-to-person existed before us, but we more or less created business-to-person messaging communication. So if you're a business and you want to have an official account that can send messages or other communications to consumers or people or patients, there's a special compliance where you need to register with telco and stuff, and we started doing this. Then we moved into two-way omnichannel engagement where you can talk through various channels with businesses, and now we're building a future which is conversational future. We can enter into these channels and literally imagine like building an app in your WhatsApp or in your iMessage or in your SMS or RCS. In this case, that's what we can do. So I'll talk a little bit about it. One more thing, we're the largest global communication company, one of the largest tech company in Europe. Some of you never heard of us, but you for sure touched our services. We touched 2/3 of all mobile devices in the world last year. So when you receive an Uber message or an Uber phone call, that's going, for example, through our platform. When you're activating some of your mobile devices, we can't mention the name of the client, that code is coming to us. So it's a pretty large footprint physically in 77 countries. One important thing, we work with large corporations, but mainly we focus at industries where there's big volumes like retail, banking, telco. So now, definitions. Who of you think that you have too many apps? So we did this for a client meeting. One of my colleagues has done screenshot of his screen. This is an actual screen. The guy's name is James Brown, interestingly. So that's actually his screen. And so there is an app fatigue, and nobody's anymore looking at push messaging and stuff. But actually, everybody, usually when they get the message, they look at the message. So messaging is a very important channel. Because I was a partner in McKinsey and I have friends in this room, I worked with pharma for more than 10 years and I did the PhD in pharma myself. I think it's neglected in this industry, and the power of a channel is even more neglected. So I'll just do some house things with definitions. So first of all, I'm going to talk about business messaging. Business messaging is different from people messaging because it's not like your reps are messaging doctors and you have no clue what's going on. This is an official channel registered under your name, it's branded, it's typically verified, so there is a tick mark, so that somebody verifies it, telco, Google, Meta, or Apple, and it has extremely powerful and in pharma underutilized features. So you can send rich media, you can have suggested replies or buttons or menus or carousels, you can have suggested actions, you can have two-way communication, you can have forms that pop up, so literally you can build an app in your Apple messages, like you can replicate an app. And nobody needs to install anything. It comes as a message. It shows with your brand in the inbox. When you open, has your colors, has verified segment, has everything. The nice thing about this is it generates primary data. Everything that's being typed there, it's recorded and can be synced with your Salesforce, with your Viva, and whatever you have. So that's business messaging for definition. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, there's many different messaging channels that exist in the world, and especially if you include carriers, that's even more complex. So that's why you have players like us who have all of this in one platform, so you can just come and consume any channel you want. So these are just messaging channels, but you see there is massive population that's using these channels. And in many countries on the West, China was far ahead everyone else with WeChat. In many countries now west of China, this is becoming dominant business channel where businesses talk to consumers. So WhatsApp is big. Some of Pharma is using WhatsApp, but there are many others. Viber, Google Messages for Business, Apple Messages for Business, most beautiful channel, super compliant even for healthcare. RCS is next-gen SMS that's going to be launched later this year in US, and it's already present, Line, Kakao, and so forth. So with that, there is also other messaging channels that we built. So there is in-app messaging, live chat messaging of the web. That's also a messaging channel. And of course, there's email, voice, and things like that. So when I talk about later on and show some examples of things we've done, when I say messaging, I mean, maybe you will see a screenshot of one particular channel, but we decouple the experience from the channel. So we can replicate the experience I'm showing you into pretty much any channel. And of course, that's an important thing. So that's about messaging channel. So now why am I talking so much about messaging? Because, as Ali said, Pharma should learn from other industries. So this is becoming now a major trend that many companies are moving to talk to their consumers through messaging in one way or a different way. And this trend is not going away. It's actually going to become even much bigger. Because as we move from baby boomers to Gen Alpha, this is just the way they talk. So we've done research. It's primary dominant channel. We've done research. Most of people spend, even today, even if they're not Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they spend most of their time on mobile phones in messaging apps. It's just going to get much worse, much bigger. So by 2025, around 27% of global workflows will be Gen Z. And research shows that 9 out of 10 Gen Z rather text with business than call, etc. And this will be your patients, your physicians, if you're consumers, health consumers, and so forth. So that's why this is important. Now, the other trend that everybody's talking about, and I will talk about too, and definitions, is generative AI. So you probably heard a lot, so I won't patronize, but I picked from one of the consulting report, I picked sort of an impact across the value chain, from research, operations, clinical development, medical affairs, and commercials. I wouldn't these research are always wrong in terms of absolute numbers, but relative bubbles might be significant. So I think when you add medical and commercial together, this is probably where immediately you could have probably the largest impact of generative AI. And certain things that you can do is personalized content creation, medical and legal review assistance and automation. Just to tell you that this is real, because I told you we don't work much with pharma, but we worked with legal company where we actually helped automate through sort of Gen AI bot, searching through their knowledge base and things like that. So this can really augment things. Then customer enablement co-pilot, helping content suggestions, augmentation of staff, augmentation of reps, strategic insights generation, so you can really kind of generate big insights, and patient experience optimization a little bit later. So those are some kind of main areas. And I wanted to touch on it because it'll really transform. But now, where we are really, really excited as a company is collision of these two mega trends. So one trend is the rise of generative AI. The other trend is the rise of super apps, because these messaging apps are becoming super apps. And the reason why they're becoming super apps, and I have daily calls with Meta. The reason why they're becoming super apps because Meta realized, oh, this is converting much better than email. So huge ads money. So they're pushing a lot their channel, and Google is now following with RCS and Google Messages for Business, and Apple will not stay out of that game. And now you have almost like Lego building blocks that enable you to build like an app in your messaging that you don't need to install as a consumer within a day or two. So, and you can just iterate and change much faster. Now, when you add a technology that also enables you to have automated intelligence conversations in these channels, well, that can lead to pretty fundamental transformations in the value chain. So hence, we believe this applies to many industries, but also to pharma. Yesterday's world was the world where you had to go door to door. Everybody remembers all these good days with big lavish conferences. But you can't do it anymore. So now people kind of switch to omnichannel or digital experiences. In nature, these are really multi-channel. And don't feel bad about pharma, although I do admit it's a bit behind the others. Actually, we did the research in Europe. Around 60% of companies are multi-channel, that they say they're omnichannel. There is only around 20, which is truly omnichannel. And this is across the sectors, and even more advanced sectors like retail, and 20% are maybe single or two channels. So that's the state of the art today. I think what will happen in the near future, I think, you will also go conversational, I'm pretty sure. And it will start with things like MedInfo and things where it's easy to automate and you can see ROI, but it'll move beyond that. And the reason why it will move is because if you think about this technology, it's going to fundamentally transform. I'll start with marketing. Today's marketing is static content, typically two-dimensional data, and what I call yes or no marketing. So I send you a certain, let's take retail. I send you an offer to buy a jacket, and you can take the offer or reject the offer. So it's kind of yes or no. If you reject, you ignore my email or say no, don't send me again. If you want to buy it, you go and you buy. So that's yes or no. I don't have a way. Now, with this technology, first of all, you can build data cubes for segment of one because messaging allows one-to-one interactions at scale. So, like you have a phone number and a business number, and they talk to each other like one-on-one. So you can do super hyper-personalization in the messaging channel. You can have automated dynamic content. Pharma, of course, legal compliance, so you have to see, but you could have pre-approved snippets that come there. And then you can have two-way conversations. And those two-way conversations can be pretty automated, or you can have a human agent in the loop in the back end. But imagine my example with the jacket. If somebody sends me this jacket, and I reply and I say, well, I would buy it, but with 30% discount, we could have bot that's trained that, no, I'm a loyal customer that bought, I don't know, so-and-so jackets, and say, well, in this case, I give you an exception, so I'll give you a discount, or no, or if you buy X, I will give you 20%. So you can actually, old good physical world of bargaining, we can now translate to digital world with messaging and Gen AI, and that's actually happening. So when we do that in other industries, for disclaimer, we see 2 to 3-fold increase in Net Promoter Score, but again, going to my point on Meta, 4 times conversion rates and 50% increase in customer retention because we can do re-engagement flows and things like that. Now, customer support is another area. Today, most of the companies, they have standard response protocol, limited query resolution, and most of resolutions are depending on manual interaction, so mainly phone calls. Today, around 85% of all the customer support queries end up in a call center. Well, with this technology, first of all, we could have multi-entry points where you can ask your questions, whether that's live chat on the web, chat in the app, other messengers, smart routing, depending on the, you could kind of flag, depending on the question, what's the sort of risk of that question? Is it like highly compliant, highly regulated, or like general FAQ? And then you can decide whether to route to human or to bot, so it's dynamic routing. You can even, flag some questions to be routed to specialists, not to go even to a call center. And you can have personalized and automated resolution, so not rely to rigid protocols. Typically, when we do this in other industries today, and this will advance, we see around 30% of the decrease in agent-handled call, 30% decrease in costs, and around 80% increase in retention. So it's pretty transformational. I think my estimate is that around 60% of all the calls to call center can be automated. So you will leave with like around 40% just really going to humans, and this will be a difficult task. One trivia, because I have to be on time. We did the research for agents or people who are working in these centers. When you do this, their Net Promoter Score goes up because they're not anymore answering machines, answering simple questions, but they actually can spend time kind of solving a problem. So that's kind of from the other industry, but it's pretty fundamental impact of these two technologies on transformations of customer journeys. And actually, we run around 500 billion interactions, mainly messaging on our platform per year. And we have a lot of data, as you can imagine. So we pull the data from healthcare because, as I told you, we don't have much pharma. And we see that this trend is actually true. So WhatsApp is by far the most popular communication channel today in healthcare. But RCS, which will be your next-gen SMS coming from, from telcos, will come with your phone. It's growing super rapidly. And we see massive increases in all the regions. And then we typically see typical kind of conversion curves for new industries. So first of all, it's transactional use cases and contact center automations, because that's where you can have ROI. But people are moving to more kind of what we classify as marketing. It's a broad range of cases, like attraction of patients, support, engagement, and things like that. And we are seeing more and more generative AI bots. I'll show you a case later, like a real case from one of the largest hospital chains in the world, and as well virtual assistants. Now, what would this mean for physicians? You all know the left sides because you're working in this industry. Everything is about time, attention span, access, don't have time, can't fit you in the schedule, don't want to talk to you. I think if we talk about conversational AI, it can help them with patient outcomes because they can quickly kind of find the answers that they need or get like new ideas. It can reduce cognitive loads because all of a sudden they can quickly find summaries to what they're doing. Typical journey of a physician in the past was go to UpToDate and search, but now you can really get targeted answers if it's done well and it's kind of seamless, personalized, adaptive. And the messaging actually gives this other side of the coin because it gives accessibility. You don't need to install another app. It's familiar technology. They're anyway using it today, even for the hospitals, and it brings efficient communication. Now, I actually kind of went through the different cases that we have and some cases that we have in discussion. So not all of these are production-wise. And we think that these technologies can be used across the full value chain of pharma, from awareness, acquisition, engagement, support, both for patients and physicians. So I don't have a library of 100 cases. Well, actually, we have it somewhere, but I picked like 3 or 4 that I thought are interesting just to illustrate. So this is not like a high-level discussion, and I'll show you some examples, and I'll go through different things. So one is MedInfo. And MedInfo, you know, people have a lot of like questions that they ask. So essentially what you can do with MedInfo, you can have different entry points, I'll talk later, to the messaging experience, and you can expose your MedInfo even in like Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger, whatever channel, doesn't matter. They can actually enter in this channel, ask their questions. Some of the answer could be automated. The nice thing is you can send multimedia, so you could send a video if it's like a good deep question and things like that. And then if they kind of want to go more in depth, you can create a booking flows where they can immediately end up with a booking, or at that time you can sort of send them to a live chat with a medical expert from that channel. They don't need to go to another app or anything else. We have a product called Call Link where you can just send a simple link within that conversation. They can start a video call. So that's one like customer journey, fully automated and so forth. The other customer journey I was thinking was medical education. So one important thing with these messaging channels, they're not just outbound channels. It means it's not just a push channel. If you have a consent, it's a push channel, no problem. You can just send to people. But actually, they're also inbound channel. So messaging, to enter messaging, you just need a little link that you can embed wherever you want. So the links are, you can have web URL, you can have call deflection. If they're calling and they can't pick the phone, you can say, hey, do you want to chat? Press 1 for, I don't know, Apple, press 2 for WhatsApp. You can have social media. So you could have ads of a KOL who says like, hey, I have a result of the latest trial. Do you want to kind of learn more? Meta launched product called Click to Chat. So you can click, you can enter the chat, and there could be sort of pre-programmed bots that doesn't even, we can block the line for them to type free text if you want for compliance. It could be just buttons. So you see a video, do you want to see more? Do you want to get updates about this trial? I just kind of brainstormed with this oncology compass. I said, wouldn't it be nice to send like news when there is something new coming into the oncology context, and then have a menu and say, hey, do you want to book a meeting with us? Do you want to join our event? And or do you want to go to website and read the full article? So that kind of stuff could be things. Then you can have also from maps or from QR codes. So if you're doing banners or something, people can scan and enter messaging. No need to install anything. Pops up immediately. And then in the messaging, you could have this very engaging content like I draw here, where there is a video about the trial, 2-3 minutes, very easily digestible. And then you can ask, hey, do you want to learn more? Yes, I love that. And send further. You can send charts. You can send PDFs. You can send anything, like literally. And that can all be built into one flow. And you can then decide whether you want to end that journey by sending them to talk to your rep, medical, or in this case, medical expert or MSL, or you want to kind of just keep it as a communication channel. It's completely up to you. And the MSL would have a inbox, integrated inbox, and they would see that somebody is messaging them and could reply there and schedule a meeting and things like that. So that's another case. I think what we do a lot in the industry, so this case is not in production, it's just being discussed. It's kind of a virtual rep where you have like a phone number of your company, my Pharma in this case, but could be, imagine whatever. And then you could have like sort of semi-automated rep that can sort of engage physicians with certain things or be helpful, order samples in some countries or order materials for patient support or etc. or resolve some questions. And by the way, this can be routed to your real rep. So if there's a question that the bot cannot resolve, we will identify that, and we can just fail over the conversation and say, hey, now John is taking over this, and they can start chatting if they're there, or you can send them to booking appointment if it's after hours. So that's another thing. And then the final thing, this was my favorite discussion I had with somebody. It's actually for patient support. You can do magic. So we're working with one of the largest healthcare companies in US, like pharmacy chain, insurance, all this integrated stuff. And we were just talking to their chief experience officer. We just said, that we can take all the digital apps and just replicate them in digital health apps and just replicate them in messaging channels within a month? Because these are like Lego building blocks that we just need to assemble. It's not like developing app. And you don't need to worry about maintenance. Meta is taking care of this, and us. It's just like assembling building blocks. So I said, we can take any digital app and just replicate. He said, yeah, that's what I'm aiming for in a year or so. So one case for pharma is typically, when you take new drugs that's injectable, how to apply, et cetera, you could have a QR code either on your box or on a leaflet, and essentially, literally, you could have guided experience. And we can imagine we can even block this line or prevent them to type free-floating text. And this experience, if you want to do so, and this experience could lead them through, how to inject, adherence, lifestyle advices, et cetera, anything. And if you leave the text open, there could be sort of boxes. And the nice thing is you see here these menus. Whenever they type something, we could just send a menu. So it doesn't need to be free floating or Gen AI experience. It could be very guided. So that's for patient support. And then if you have them already with the consent and messaging channel, you can send re-engagement flows for adherence and things like that, or for patient-reported outcomes. So those are just some examples of what can be done. I think sky is the limit. It's just more the creativity and what you want to do. So I just show you 2-3 customer stories. So this is for, okay, I'll be on time. This is something we've done for Apollo hospital chain. It's the biggest hospital chain in India. These are 100 million of people. We literally moved a lot of their services into WhatsApp. So I will show you a video instead of talking, and you will see now what happens. So this is Ask Apollo, and now you see. So you can actually do all of these things through WhatsApp. Book a lab test, order medicines, get a virtual consultation there in that channel, and so forth and so forth. Track your reports. So it's a full healthcare flow in their messaging channel. The use is just crazy. And now the latest case that we did with them, they built their own AI bot for symptom checking. So the patient enters, they say, I have a disease. They do a symptom checking. If we flag that this is serious, it is immediately sending them to a healthcare professional who's taking over and doing chat or video call. If you don't think it's serious, it's sending them to a booking flow. So that kind of stuff. And this massive cost savings on that operations, but also great patient experience. So actually, by the way, in India, in WhatsApp, you have WhatsApp Pay. So you can even do transaction for drugs and so forth if you're generic. This is the other one. This one is in Europe. This is Maggie. It's sort of a small startup, but actually we're doing all kind of patient support, tracking symptoms, getting PROs, educating patients around the disease, connecting with professionals, recording readings, and we see so far very good early results. CSAT is 86%, data collection time is dramatically faster, and overall experience is good. Now, and what patients also like is that when they go to a next disease, they don't need to install a next app. It's still here. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, or they just forget about the channel and say delete. And then this one, I can't disclose the name, but we're working with one of the largest pharmaceutical companies. They will be launching Gen AI bots in different channels, tailored to different channels, in order to unify the communication with healthcare professionals, provide personalized support, collect the feedback, so you can generate primary data. You could send hey, what do you think about this drug? Is it working? And things like that, very quick surveys. And they can actually sync all of that data around physician profile in their Salesforce. And so at the moment, we're doing early pilots. We did 5 markets. Now they're launching in 56. It's improved HCP engagement several-fold, more access. We see higher NPS score, and we collected already quite a bit of insights, especially in the pre-launch period and things like that around the disease and how they think about it. So that was pretty good. That's why they decided. Now, last thing, couple of minutes on the tech stack. I think one needs to start with the use case. Because everybody asks me, do you have a solution? Yes, we have a lot of use cases for inspiration, but tell me what you want to solve. Like, what's the business impact you want to drive? What's the use case we want to drive? And then once you have the use case, actually then we can help you, depending on geographies and what you want to do, choose the appropriate channel or use case. And this doesn't need to be just messaging, although I spoke mainly about messaging. Could be MMS, could be voice, could be email, depends. Some use cases are better on different channels. Now, this is an important part, and I'll spend a couple of minutes talking about this orange thing. So then you need to have a conversational platform that has a couple of things. So one is you need to have an engagement module. So if they enter, you need to be able to build flows or different customer journeys. Most of pharma engagement software like Actana, they already have some version of it, so that's fine. Then you need to have a very complex AI architecture, because in regulated industry, the last thing you want to do is to let GenAI talk to patients, physicians, and whatever, because that's pretty dangerous. But there is a way around it. I'll explain you how it's being done. And then you need to have a way to move that journey from automated self-service bots into humans, whether these are frontline agents, medical experts, call center, whatever you have. There needs to be that flow forth and back. You need to have a data layer where you collect all of these data and monitor and God knows what. And then the analytics is very important, because actually this is super interesting. We have a partner that can analyze 50 million conversations, transcripts, emails, everything, and within 7 days understand where are your people spending time, where do we have answers, what are opportunities for conversations. But quite honestly, we developed together technology also to understand where we don't have an answers, because we create a bot that can ask questions and bots that answer questions based on your content, and we let them talk to each other and we identify where are the gaps in a knowledge base. So you need an analytics to keep improving over time. Now, I'll just go to this middle part because everybody's talking about GenAI, but I think because we work with banks, that this is the way to do GenAI in pharma, and this is how we're doing with this one company. Actually, you need to combine different bot technologies, because there is rule-based bots, which means clicking the buttons, and then when you click the button, another menu shows up, and so you are leading people through a certain set of rules. There is an intent-based bot that can recognize what you're answering and give either textual or menu answer, but from predefined set of answers in the database. So they're not formulating their own language, and they're not generating their own answers. And then there are GenAI bots, which can kind of free float. I mean, you can limit them to answer only on your data and so forth, but you can't limit them from kind of reformulating your answer in a certain way. And in an industry like pharma, this might be uncompliant because it depends how you phrase. So what we are doing is essentially we are using GenAI to increase dramatically list of intents in the regulated industries. This is what we are doing. And I think this could apply for pharma, but we are using NLU bots to give the answers, because we want the answer to sound exactly like I want. And if I don't have an answer in the database, I will say, sorry, I can't answer this question at this time. Please connect to our healthcare professional, and we just shift them to another flow. Because otherwise, there is huge risk of hallucination, I admit. For internal cases, it might be fine. For external, no, it's not fine. So there is a way. So the way we build the architecture is actually that we have this AI orchestrator that understands the intent, and then we are not building one large bot that's built just on Gen AI technology. These are specialized bots that can be like product assistant, medical assistant. So they're really trained on specific snippets of data, and then that makes them faster. And then the AI orchestrator can understand what the, in this case, could be patient or physician is asking. They can route them to an appropriate bot. Some things can be Gen AI if it's more FAQ. It gives them an answer. It can pre-praise the answers. It can do conversions between different even slangs. We launched it in South Africa, so for farmers, they speak African English. It doesn't work well with Gen AI. We did translations, forth and back, and things like that. And it does the second level of control, like for toxic answers or words you don't want to have there, just in case something happened, it suppresses them and go to the default answer, and it can route the conversation to an agent. So you need a more complex technology if you want to expose this to consumers. And in regulated industry, you don't want this kind of random even a risk to formulate something in the way that's inappropriate. And finally, this is what I told you for Apollo, but actually you need a full, in my view, end-to-end platform that can start with like channel, whatever is the channel, and sort of auto self-service, but you need to be able to capture the data, to translate it to a human and to help create re-engagement flows. Because let's say you had a medical affairs campaign for medical education that they came from social media, they learned something, they ran through a flow, but now all of a sudden you have consent to recontact them, and if you want to be nice, you can even ask, hey, do you allow us to kind of send you further information? That goes into re-engagement tool, and you can start creating re-engagement flows. And that's, I think, what kind of the technology does. And okay, I'll skip this too. So we have a partner here, Focal CXM. They know Pharma well, so they're implementing some of our solutions. They have a booth, and there we created a little bot in WhatsApp just to, if you want to test the experience. It was done in like, I don't know, 3 days. So
I can just add, and it just took a couple of days for us to leverage the Infobip platform and sort of rethink or reimagine how the experience could look like from an HCP's perspective. So it's very simple. You'll just launch WhatsApp and give a couple of options to kind of simplify it.
Yeah, anyway, that's it. So, so that was it. I don't know if there are some questions or we had time for questions. Yeah.
I saw that the CRM is on the...
Yeah, sorry.
And I'm wondering, is one of these solutions, can it be, how can I say, integrated with CRM?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the main thing. So all of this is, I mean, doesn't matter, I'm not, any solution you choose, in my view, and this is just the general how you build tech stack, this is how we think about it, you need to be able to integrate with your CRM, with content management system, with other things, in 2 ways, so that when the data comes in, you need to be able to write, and you need to be able to take out data in real time. But I mean, maybe there are IT people here. You don't want to store here because it's super expensive and a little bit risky. So you store in CRM and you take it when you need it. Yeah, welcome.
I have 2 short questions. What you made for Apollo for India?
Yeah.
Is it in English, like one language, or in Hindu as well? Or
no, in 20 languages.
20 languages.
Major Indian languages. English first, but then there is Hindi, and then there are a few others.
And from technical perspective, like the architecture was the same. It was just
same.
Different labels.
Same. It's so flexible. Yeah, in the back end, you can do whatever.
Okay. And another question is, you show this use case when a patient can scan the code on the some box of the drug and then go to the bot. So where this actually QR code was leading to? Because I understand that it's like channel could be web, WhatsApp, Telegram.
No, it's leading to, so as I said, that one is discussion. We're talking whether we have a landing page or have 2, 3 QR codes to say try WhatsApp, try Apple Messages, or try RCS, the most common one. So it depends. I mean, you might want to have a landing page because of consents, but otherwise you can put the consent as a first message in your messaging. Just say, do you consent to continue? So it's easy. That's how we're doing it.
Maybe just one question. I just want to make sure that I understood you correctly. So first you mentioned, all those solutions with the generative chats, which can generate like free flows of text, right? Like
yeah.
You can just type the question, and it will give you the open text
answer. Yeah.
Right. But then you said that with all the compliance restrictions that we have in the industry, in the current stage, you would rather go with this chat, which just gives the predefined answers, right?
Yes, it's called NLU. It's another technology. Okay. And so what it recognizes from your question, for example, you're asking what should be the dose for, I don't know, Humira. You're recognizing that somebody is asking that question, and then there is a database of answers where with that question, there is a tagged answer which says dose for Humira is so-and-so. Right. And you're pulling that answer. User doesn't know what the technology is behind. Now, what GenAI enables you to do, because in the past we had problems with intent, because I could ask what's the dose for Humira, or I could ask how should I administer Humira, or a third way to ask, and then the engine gets lost because it doesn't have that intent linked to that answer. So now what you can do with GenAI, you take that intent and you say, ask this question in 300 different ways. Right. Somebody checked the intents, and we just feed it into intent database. And all of a sudden, the experience gets much better, because if you ask in these 300 ways the question, I will always tag it to that answer. And then we have analytics that monitors in real time. So if we see that there was a legit question and we didn't answer appropriately, we'll flag it to the tech team in-house or a partner, and they will then create a new intent or add something to a knowledge base. But that makes you a little bit safe, and it still looks like you have a GenAI. Because they don't know. And then, for some questions that's like, oh, where are the Biogen offices, or what's your mission and vision? Maybe it's okay to put GenAI bot to answer, right? You will just give it data, feed it. We use Microsoft mainly because it's more secure for enterprise applications, and it'll only answer questions if it was fed with that data. If it's outside of that perimeter, what you fed in the cloud, it'll say, I don't have an answer. That's for the GenAI. But you just need to figure out what's the use case. If it's more about Biogen, you let GenAI. If it's sensitive questions, you're going to this, what I described, because you don't want like different formulation of your question, of your answer. So that's, yeah. And sometimes, because these technologies are combined, you could also, instead of giving them, you can give them a short answer and then a menu. If somebody's asking about events, you could say, hey, Biogen organized many great events in these areas. If you want to check, please click here. They check on the menu, and then there could be more like info. So that's like this conversational two-way. You just need to understand the use case. But it's like, this is like being used in retail and many other industries. I just wanted to build a little bit of inspiration. One company is going ahead and doing it from our knowledge. Or at least I was involved in that. Thank you.